Hey, it's Greg here with MaritimeGardening.com, and it's time for another garden tour brought to you by my sponsors, Bessie's Seeds and Safer's Gardening Products. It's middle of November, and it's cold. The goldfish here are swimming under a little bit of ice, and a lot of the garden's starting to shut down. We still got a few things we're harvesting out there, but a lot of changes in the garden with the big reorganization I'm going through here. So let's go have a look and let me show you everything. All right, pretty windy day here, so hopefully that doesn't come through in the audio too much. So I moved the compost bins near the entrance here. It just sort of made sense to have them in a shadier spot rather than in the middle of the garden. And I mean, this whole changing of the garden that I'm doing, which I'll show you as we go along, is about using the sunniest spots of the garden to their best potential. Okay, so that's the goal. So you're going to see, we're going to start off over here where nothing's changed, and we're going to go over to the other side where a lot has changed. But first, walking in here, we got this Swiss chard, and we've had some nights around 0. We've had a little bit of snow. Monday morning, I think, we had snow on the road and snow on the lawn. And when the Swiss chard are like this, you can see how they've almost wilted a little bit. That's them trying to tell me, you need to harvest all of us. Blanch and freeze us, use us up. Our days are very much numbered, so I got to get these things out of the garden real soon. Did an experiment this year trying winter rye as a cover crop, so we'll see how that goes. I got some ideas of how to make best use of that in the spring. These gardens here are all closed up for the winter and sort of shut down. Had a little short video here about how I was reorganizing this little bed here full of Egyptian walking onions. I got some of this nice bloody dock growing here and over there. This French sorrel has been attacked, as has this Punta dandelion. See how they've all been, look like they've been harvested? Well, they weren't harvested by me. They were all harvested by a rabbit or a porcupine or something. Something's getting into the garden. I'm not sure how, and going to town on those, and to some extent my carrots. But anyway, all the beets here have been harvested. Actually, you have my daughter. She came out and harvested all of them the other day. I got a nice big bowl of beets now. Over here, my garlic. Every bed of garlic that I planted in mid-October is now got about 6 inches of growth. Just a ridiculously warm October and even early November. And so the garlic responded to that and grew. There's nothing you can do about it. I could have waited a little longer, but that happens sometimes. It's really no big deal. At least in my experience, this will just die back. The roots and the bulb will survive the winter, and it'll just start growing again, regenerate in the spring, and hopefully give me some nice garlic. Everything's nicely mulched with some leaves here. Should all be fine. I got parsnips out of here. I got to start harvesting these before they freeze in place. The carrots, I had my son and daughter come out the other day, and what they did was they harvested about this much, like 6 inches, all the way around the perimeter. So all the outside carrots are harvested. We got them inside in the sort of downstairs refrigerator, second refrigerator, like a, kind of a poor man's cold room. It's basically cheaper just to use an old fridge than to actually build a cold room, nowadays anyway, although it does have an electrical cost. So all I will do with the ones that are in the middle, right, you've got lots of carrots, you see here, lots of nice carrots just growing in the middle, right, is I'll take a dome like that, stick it over there, and that should keep it from freezing up too badly over the course of the winter. Whenever I want carrots, I'll come out here, lift that thing up in the snow, get some fresh carrots out of the ground. That should keep them accessible, and carrots can't get too cold. They actually, where I live, they turn to mush, but that should preserve them. I'll do the same thing with these parsnips. I'll basically harvest the perimeter, put a dome over the middle, harvest them as I need them over the winter, and if there's any left in the spring, you harvest them all right away and use them up right away. We did the same thing with the carrots in here. Massive hill here. That's a mole did that. Heave that thing right up. Anyway, so that's happened. We had some intense wind the other day, so this trellis got thrown down. That's not good. I just noticed that must have happened last night. Over here we got kale still growing. Right, this is the best time of year to harvest kale, so I leave it out as late as I can because it just The cold weather makes it so much more tasty. Right, so this will all be harvested, blanched and frozen, stuck in the deep freeze, and it'll just be such a good kale. We still have parsley. Actually, that's got to be harvested too. Boy, I've been so busy working on the garden here, I forgot to harvest things. So I got parsley here. The way I preserve that is I just put it in a Cuisinart with a little salt and lemon and put it in little mason jars and stick it in the freezer. And just take them out as I need them to use in pasta and things like that. That's all you got to do with that. Over here, there was a massive grapevine growing here. I ripped the whole thing out and moved it a few weeks ago. I don't know if I killed it or not, or if I've made a good decision. But this is the wrong place for it to grow. So that's what I did. Sometimes you just got to do it, right? The grapevine's gone. Hopefully the grapes survived. If not, I'll just buy another grapevine and plant it, I guess. Now, going down the center of the garden, I planted all garlic in this nice big bed in October. Again, it's all like 6 inches high. Still got the collard greens going here because they love the cold. It makes them taste better. They're starting to flop and wilt a bit. That's from the cold nights. That's the sign that it's time to harvest them all, blanch and freeze them. That's how I like to save all my greens. They're going to be delicious. Each plant is a meal. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like 12 meals, right? At least 12, maybe 10, right? 10 good collard green. Like I have the side dish. There's a way we do it. It's sort of like a southern US type thing. But there's another way we do it with Indian food. I can't remember the name. It's like Thoran is how you spell it in English. But it's basically like a cabbage with coconut and some spices, and you have that on this as a side dish with curry. It's delicious. I should do a video on how to make that sometime. Anyway, I make it with collard greens. There's lots of different greens it can be made with. I don't think traditionally in India they used collard greens. They used some other green, but collard greens work just fine. Pile of rocks here. I'll talk about that in a minute because it's a different thing. Strawberries need to be mulched. Lots of kale growing here. That's going to have to be dealt with soon. And I reorganized the raspberries here. I was going to move the whole thing, but actually didn't have room for it once I figured out space with changes in the garden. So I made the bed narrower, and I'm going to put a cage around the first 2 feet of all these plants. Every spring a rabbit gets in here. You have a nice healthy cane. Look at this cane here, nice 4-foot high cane. And somehow, even despite my nice fence there, a rabbit will get in, cut it off about that high and basically cost me an entire harvest. They do it to all of them. So I'm going to put some chicken wire around these, and hopefully that keeps the rabbits from destroying my raspberry harvest. Now, getting to the heart of it, major reorganization of the garden. So going down here, this is where I had my apple trees and my pond. Remember all the effort I put into making a pond right here last spring? Well, now it ain't a pond. I just basically destroyed it. Put a nice big bed here. I'll talk about that in another video, why I'm using an 8x8 bed as opposed to the standard 4x8 bed preferred among most no-till gardeners, right? So I got a bed here, right? There was an apple tree there. Now there's a nice big bed there in a nice sunny spot. Huge bed here in a nice sunny spot. Another bed here in this nice sunny spot. In this, where this used to be a bed, a garden bed where things didn't grow very well. Now it's a pond, right? It's not finished, but it's to say I haven't finished preparing the space, right? I got 2 teenagers from down the street. One's in university, one's sort of almost finished high school. They're both strong young lads. So they've been coming here every Sunday for a couple hours and ditch digging. Right, so we're making a big deep bed right here. It's going to have no problem getting water because it's at the base of this hill, right? And every time we've had a good rain, this thing is filled right up. They were over here on Sunday a couple days ago, and I had to siphon all the water out just so they could begin to dig here. Right, so the plan is to get this dug out nice and deep and move the goldfish from the other pond and do all that before freeze up. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. We'll get as far as we can get. But you can only do what you can do. And I certainly don't want to kill all those goldfish. So I'm only going to move them if this is so deep that it's actually a better place than where they are right now. I'll do another video talking about this pond, but basically we've been, you know, moving a lot of dirt around. We got this nice big pond here. We get all these nice beds here, right? This garden down here is, this mess is asparagus, somewhat mature asparagus, but the shape is all wrong. It worked with what I was going with before, but now it's sort of a not right. So in the spring, when I figure out where the asparagus is in this bed, I'm gonna have to move some things around, and you know, put some sort of, affect some sort of structure here. Look at this. Look at this right here. Those are rabbit tracks. There's a rabbit in my garden. I guarantee you those are rabbit tracks. There's a rabbit in my garden. Anyway, I'm getting distracted here. Over here, we still have what we had before. We got the lingonberries. Those are going to have to stay there because they take years to get established. They're just starting to produce now. But I'll make this whole row, the plan is to make this whole row berries. So I get lingonberry, I get strawberry, right? This is garlic for now, and this is parsnips. But I've got strawberries growing over there. I'll start planting strawberries over here this spring, right? As those ones put off runners, I'll migrate, propagate them over here. And I'll make these 3 beds, strawberry beds, at different stages of development, right? Because strawberries need to be replaced every 5 years. So you kind of you have to have almost like 2 mature beds and 1 immature bed all the time, if you're going to manage them right. And we love strawberries, so I don't mind devoting the space to it. And this is a really, really sunny spot, so they'll grow great. All the blueberries that were growing right there. And if you're wondering why there's a pile of rocks in the middle of the garden, those are the rocks that were around all the different beds all over here, right? They just got, that's all the rocks we had in play. I took all the blueberries that were there and made a line of them. I didn't realize how many I had, but basically I made a row of blueberries all the way down here. At the bottom, I put the grape vine. If it survives the winter, the plan is to build a trellis that sort of goes parallel to the fence, right? It might even sort of go along the edge or along the middle of the lingonberries. I don't really know. Lingonberries can handle a little bit of shade as far as I understand it, but the grapes will not go against the fence. That is, if you've got a fence that keeps wild animals out, you don't want to put an entire vine of delicious berries right next to where the wild animals are. Not a good move. Now, trees. I moved my biggest apple tree, the Sweet 16, to here. I don't know if I killed it. I don't really know if I, you know, this is a better spot for it because it's not going to be casting that direction south, right? It's at the north end of the garden, right? So it's not going to be casting shade on anything, right? I moved that there. The other apple tree I just cut down, it was too big to move. This is the pear tree that was sort of growing in amongst the blueberries. I think this one had a good move. To me, the buds look okay. I mean, that's the key is, did your buds dry up, right? There's a bud on the apple tree. It looks okay. Maybe some of the buds got lost. I know everything I read about moving trees says wait till the leaves change before you move them. Many of the leaves, all the leaves had changed in the forest here, but this apple tree, the leaves had not changed when I moved it. And I read that thing about others of leaves changing after I moved it. I had a buddy that said he would give me a hand, and he had one particular afternoon to do it, and moving a tree this size is really not a one-man job. So I just moved it when he was able to help me. I probably moved it 2 weeks ahead of, you know, when it was good. I think this pear tree is okay. This is another pear tree that was doing very, very, very poorly in a separate part of the garden. You can tell this pear tree was planted the exact same time as this one. And look how many more branches it has. It's about 2 feet taller, right? That pear tree was where, on the very edge of where that new pond's going to be. Again, not a good place for growing things. Great place for a pond, right? So the stunted pear tree was where the pond is, right? Where it's naturally wet and doesn't get good sun. Great sunny spot here if I haven't killed the pear tree. But now I've got a problem where I've got 2 pear trees and 1 apple tree. And if you want apples, you got to have 2 apple trees of different varieties so they can sort of, you know, get it on together, sort of thing, right? So I don't have that, and I don't have space for 3 trees in this space, right? If I could move that one a bit further that way and this one a bit further that way, but then I'd have branches going over the fence, drawing bears and porcupines into my garden, causing another problem, right? So I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait till spring and see if all 3 of these trees are alive or if they die. And I'll make a decision then based on what I've got to work with, right? If both the pear trees die, then I'll get apples. And if the apple tree dies, maybe I'll just get more pears. And I'll just forget about apples and be a pear guy. Back here, I've got some bushes and stuff like that. So I've got, what's that called? It's a berry bush anyway, right there. Some sort of berry bush, big blueberry-like things. I just can't remember the variety. That's going to kill me not remembering what those are called. Anyway, really shouldn't be behind these apple trees. So I'll have to find a home for that berry bush. But I'm not going to figure that out until next spring. It's just too late to be, I think it's too late to be messing with that now. So I'll just leave it in the ground for now. Anyway, that's where we are, middle of November 2022. It's a great growing season, but for whatever reason I was inspired to make some major changes in the garden here, and I don't know why, but I'm always excited about things like that. I can't wait to see how. I think everything I'm doing here is something I've been thinking about for a few years now, actually, right? So I'm getting on with it, getting it done. Sometimes just like ripping off a band-aid. Everything's got to be changed. I'm changing it. It's all going to be better. Anyway, I hope you found that interesting. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. Check out my podcast, maritimegardening.com. Check out my column at maritimegardening.substack.com. Subscribe to that. Check that out. I write an article every single week. And until next time, get out there, get at it, have fun in your garden. Thanks for watching. Hey folks, want to help support everything I'm doing here? Check out my sponsors, Vessie's Seeds and Safer's Gardening Products. For Vessie's, go to their website, vessies.com, and use my coupon code GAVS22, and you'll get free shipping as long as there's a pack of seeds in your order and there's no oversized items in your order. Check out the description box of this video for details. For Safer's products and Woodstream products, you can buy all the things I use in my garden, slug and snail killer, BTK, Endall. You can buy that from Vessie's, or you can go to their websites for a much wider range of products to solve just about any kind of problem that you can imagine with high quality natural ingredients like oils from seeds and flowers and stuff like that. If you're in Canada, go to woodstreambrands.ca, and as long as your order is over $69, you get free shipping. If you're in the United States of America, then go to saferbrand.com, and as long as your order is over $45 US, you'll get free shipping from them. So yeah, if you want to help support the channel and the podcast, and they sell something you need, buy it from them, and that'll help support everything I'm doing here. Thanks a lot.